So I'm really inspired by the world around me. I have lived in Northern Ontario for the majority of my life, and I'm really inspired by the natural elements, the land, as well as the animals and things like within Northern Ontario. And I think it's really important to be considerate of the land around us, being aware of the beauty, but also the environmental impact that that we have as people, and how we are affected by the land and how we ourselves affect the land. And I think that there's a real sense of a sense of connection that we have, particularly those living in the north, to the land. We're surrounded by it, and we're really connected to the land, and it's a really important aspect for us, whether it has to do with our industry and resources and things like that, or just our daily lives. It's a really important aspect of our lives. So I'm really happy to be able to paint natural elements. I think that certainly my work has evolved in the last little while. I think any artist that is working away on things needs to have their work evolve throughout their practice, and I think that it's a really natural evolution of practice. Only recently has my work really been this sort of geometric, organic kind of feel, to the stylized kind of feel to it. Certainly in the past, I've experimented with different media and subject matter, everything from realism to really abstract expressionism, and really developing a lot of different considerations and even experimentation in media. I really love playing with plaster and sculptural elements. Not that I'm great at plaster, but I enjoy working with it because it really gives you a different kind of feeling and certainly a different product. The work that I've developed here is fairly consistent, and it does sort of tie into the work that I've done within the community, and that really helps me develop a sort of resonance with my work, and people being able to recognize it a little bit better. But as I go, if you notice, and even in the works that are here, because it's been spanned over a couple of years of practice, you can certainly see little, maybe it's not certainly discernible, but to me it's discernible, developments as I go along. And so I think that it's really interesting to see this body of work, even in a few years, and how much growth there has been and evolution. And I'm really excited because I know that the work will continue to evolve. That's somewhat complicated because every day is completely different. Certainly, I work on art as much as I possibly can, and balance that home life and work life kind of thing. But I really try to have a balance in terms of my work and family life and other things that I've got going on as well. But I really try to ensure that I'm always constantly practicing and evolving my skill. So I generally work on painting, at least daily, and see what happens, because sometimes it's sort of like, the way that I say it, it's like, if you're interested in sports, it's like you kind of constantly have to be continuing to keep your skill level up in order to be able to evolve and really see those differences on a day-to-day basis. Absolutely, the answer to the question is I always wanted to be an artist in some capacity. I always wanted to work in something creative, and I think that any creative can attest to that feeling of like, I don't necessarily know what it is yet, but I definitely want to do something creative. And I think that I'm very pleased that I've been able to connect with the community and be in this role as a creative maker. But no matter what, I would have been doing something, and doing something that is some kind of creative aspect, some kind of creative aspect to it. And I think that it's something within you. It's sort of like asking, as I said before, how do you ask a writer how they got into writing? It just comes from within, right? So I think that that sort of passion and creativity is, or that drive to create is inherent. that's something that you're born with, and it's like, it's not necessarily always a want to create, but more of a need to create. It's enjoyable and it's delightful to have this opportunity, but it's also something that I feel the need to do. You know, I've always dreamt about something in a creative aspect, so I'm really happy to be here now. So I definitely listen to a lot of music, and certainly sometimes we'll put on you know, movies or shows to watch. But generally I try to be focused on what I'm doing. So I like to listen to, say, music that allows me to focus, but I try to mix it up as much as possible because I don't want the music to too heavily influence what I'm doing. I listen to a lot of, I'm not really even sure what the genre is, but a lot of sort of melodic, instrumental, like electronic kind of music. And really allow myself to kind of, it just allows a little bit of a workflow to happen, and you know, fewer lyrics and things like that to avoid any influence in my work. And you know, things that are very comfortable allow me to continue to maintain that style. Particularly in the show, I wanted to make sure there was a consistency in style, so I really tried to listen to a consistent type of music, and that really helped me focus on sort of my task. There are so many fantastic artists, you know, historic, current. There's so many wonderful artists that I would love to connect with. Certainly there are artists that I'm influenced by that I would love to, you know, meet and see and so on. I really try now to connect with as many artists as I can. Try to go to openings and really get a sense of what artists are thinking and what they're like, and you get a really good idea of your own practice when you're able to connect with other artists, even in the community, locally, and you know, outside the community. I try to go to as many openings as I can, just to really connect with that community, whether it's local or extended. I don't know if I can necessarily name one artist or another. I've got so many artists that I'm influenced by and really admire their work, and certainly, yeah, I think that there's too many to count. But you know, I've been influenced by artwork my whole life, so I've really tried to absorb as much as I can from artists, and reading, even if they're, you know, perhaps not with us anymore, reading about them and finding out a little bit more about artists that have come past, their process, so that it can help shape who I am as an artist. I am super fortunate that I get to connect with a lot of younger artists on a daily basis, and I think it's wonderful to be able to have that opportunity to influence. If I could say anything to my younger self, and I think that I wouldn't need to say it because I'm already doing it, is just keep creating and just keep, you know, experimenting and not being afraid of failure. I think that's part of the learning process. Certainly, is trying something and realizing, whoops, that didn't work, or that's not really my thing. But finding out, you know, on a sort of continuous basis, you have these aha moments, and I certainly had. There are a couple of really poignant times where I said, ooh, that worked, let's do that again. And sort of that's how you grow and evolve. And so if you allow yourself to really continue to practice and just keep producing work, and growing and trying something new and allowing yourself to make those mistakes, to be able to have those aha moments, then you'll be able to grow as an artist. And I think that that's the most important piece of advice that I try to impart, and that I would tell my younger self, that it does, and I'm saying that as a current position, telling my future self, I'm probably going to be growing as an artist and moving in a different direction, potentially that I'm in right now. So you just never know where artwork can take you, and I think it's important to always be open to that exploration and growth.